This was the big storm that hit the eastern part of the United States. Now they got 22 inches of snow. We got about 4 inches. We call this kind of storm in Northeast Ohio Wednesday. This is really just a typical snowstorm, and it's just something that you have to deal with. This snow's real light and fluffy, and it just comes right off the trucks. What I did, I'm loaded up for a delivery this afternoon, and I had this loaded yesterday. I have it parked under the roof, and for the most part the snow stayed off of it. We got some that's blown on, but I'm sure that this is going to blow off going down the highway. Our schedule for today, I have a problem with the Super Splitter and I have to do a repair. I have it in the garage out of the snow, and we do have some heat in there. So come on in and I will explain to you what happened to it. Guys, this is what we have going on. The Super Splitter started making some funny noises when I was running it the other day. I went ahead and took the guard off, and I found out that the clutch is burning up on it, or the bearing has gone bad. I caught it just in time because it was starting to cut into the to that side of the engine. We have to replace the clutch, and I think at this time too, I'm going to take all the guards off. We'll do some servicing on it. I got to change the oil in the engine anyways, and I'll give you a opportunity to see the inner workings of one of these great machines. Here's the problem. The clutch, you can see we got a lot of play in it. It's burned up the bearing, and it's cut into the engine case here. When I take it off, I'll show you underneath too. But the other things I noticed, I got metal shavings, but there's also a bunch of brass shavings in here, and I know that there's a brass bushing that goes on the engine shaft between it and the clutch. So I went ahead and ordered the clutch. So this is what's going to be going on. I also said throw in 2 new belts. And I don't know if we're going to replace them just yet, but we'll see what we're getting into when we dig into it. My Super Splitter has about 350 cords run through it. When you see my wood yard out here, now this was up until I got the Yappa back in March. This machine had touched every single split in my yard, so I've used it a lot. This is my first hiccup with it. Let me dig into this, guys. I'm going to loosen the top handle, and that's going to bring this hood off. So here is the inner workings of the Super Splitter, guys. The ram really is the rack. The pinion is right back in there. When the wheels spin, the flywheels spin, you can see the pinion in there spinning. All right. And this is the mechanism that pushes down. Okay, so that pushes the rack into the pinion, and that's what makes the ram. So I am going to be replacing the clutch, and these belts will be coming off the flywheel. This works with 2 75-pound flywheels, and that creates the inertia. That's what's so neat about these, is you don't have to run these at high RPM. And there's also an electric model for these as well, because you don't need torque for these machines. You just need speed. The belt tension is the engine, which slides on this beam. So I just have to loosen this up and let the engine come back some, and we'll loosen the belts up. So this has loosened up our belts, and now this is going to let me take the clutch off. And we'll see what we've gotten into. Yeah, you can see what we got going on here. It's something's broke loose inside. In order for me to get the clutch to clear this brace, I'm going to have to slide the engine back. Okay. I'm going to show you inside here where the brass bushing has worn away. So that brass bushing wearing out is what's caused the slop. Probably the clutch isn't bad, but I just went ahead and got the whole thing. I figure I got it apart, and let's just replace it. But here you can see the damage, guys. We almost had a disaster because I could have cut all the way through, and I would have had to replace this front cover. You can see the brass shavings where the bushing had started failing. All right. This is feedback to me. You know, I run this with headphones, and you know, who knows how long this has been going on. I could have heard it earlier in the process, but maybe now I need to run my engine a little bit, you know, with my headphones off, and I can start hearing these problems developing. But you know, the clutch looks fine. It's just the bushing. But we're going to replace everything. I'll still hold on to this. I might need it in a pinch one day. Here is the new clutch, and we'll take it apart and let's compare it to the old one. Yeah, so here's the new clutch, guys, and you can see what we're missing from the old one. Slightly different. That is probably, I need to inspect the shaft and see if I haven't damaged it. This went pretty far. I think the shaft seems okay. I don't feel any burrs. I don't feel any wear on it. And hopefully we've dodged a bullet. So let's go ahead and put it all back together. We slide the new clutch on. I have to pound this keyway in. And that is going to be flush. Although there's a little burr right there, I just pounded it in. So this is flush with the facing of the clutch. The next thing that goes on is this nylon spacer. And now the brass bushing goes on. And that sits flush. The new bell. We're looking good. I'm checking for tolerances back here, and it looks like it's pretty good. It's not touching the engine. And then the bolt. I forgot to mention that I put a little bit of red Loctite on this bolt, and I'm gonna torque it down a little bit more after I get the belts put on. So there you go. We got the clutch installed. It went pretty easy. And now I'm going to do some servicing up here with these bearings. Guys, these are the flywheels, and you can see the weight that they have. You know, it's hard for me to get them going, but that's what generates the power with these. But there are 2 grease fittings on each side, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit these now. There are some other wear items that you have to pay attention to. These rubber bumpers, these will wear out, so you have to keep up with them. And mine look to be okay. The other thing, there's 2 springs on each side that bring the ram back. So that's something else that you want to keep your eye on. Here's the other thing too, guys. This top beam, you really want to keep it clean. And I'm getting a lot of gumming back in here that I can't reach with when the hood's on. So I'm gonna take this time and scrape all this off, get this top beam nice and clean. The reason is this top bearing seems to be the one that gives everyone trouble on the Super Splitter. I will hit mine with a heavy oil about every 2 hours. But the key though is when you're splitting is keeping this beam clean, because it'll get some gum on here, especially if it's raining outside, or if the wood, you know, the bark's got some moisture in it, it'll get pressed into this beam, and then it keeps this from moving pretty easy. But here is how it works. I have the rack and pinion engaged with the top handle, and you know, here you go. This is the way it works. The wheels are spinning, the rack and pinion are engaged, and it's bringing the ram out. When the ram comes out far enough, it disengages and those springs have it retract. The thing that I had noticed was it's like it's only getting hit, you know, it's getting one bearing more than the other. I called Super Split about that, and they said that's normal, not to worry about it. So it seems that this bearing is engaging when the rack's not engaged with the pinion, but when the pinion is up, this one is hitting. I pointed that out. It's done that ever since I've had it, and they acted like it's no big deal. We have it all put back together. The clutch is in, the belt's got the proper tension to it. I'm gonna go ahead and start it up. Let's see how it runs. And I think it works great. I immediately noticed that it is so much more quiet. This machine always had kind of like a clanking noise going on. And this whole time it was that brass bushing wearing out on the clutch. So, you know, I feel kind of bad now that I let this go as long as I did, but the lessons learned. Now I know what to pay attention to. And if you have one of these Super Splitters, maybe you can look at it as well. I caught it just in time because, boy, that was really cutting into the side of the engine. I got to put the cover back on it. I still have to change the oil, but let's get that done. Guys, there you go. This went really easy. I was dreading having to repair this. I thought maybe that, you know, this was going to be pressed on. I would have to have a special puller, but it went easy. These machines are something. They're very simple, elegant machines. They are easy to work on. This repair reminds me of one of my favorite television shows. Do you remember the Swamp Loggers with Bobby Goodson? Ironically, with all those swamps that they worked in, it was filmed right here in my backyard. But the one thing I always felt about his show, it should have been changed. The title should have been changed to My Truck Broke, because they were always fixing something that was breaking. That's one thing I've learned about taking that step from a person who makes firewood into firewood production. You know, your machines, they start breaking down because you use them so much more. So, you know, we had that blown hose on the Yappa. We now had to replace the clutch on the Super Splitter. But I think it's just part of the game, and it's something to be expected. What I can vouch for, though, is Super Split's customer service was A1. They answered their phone when I called. The person that answered the phone had thorough knowledge of this machine, and he knew exactly what was wrong with it. They sent me the right part, and it was easy to fix. In fact, I even called them for some technical advice on putting the clutch back on, and they walked me right through everything. An excellent company and a dynamite splitter. Guys, they do not sponsor this channel, so this is just coming right from the heart. I would not hesitate to buy one of these. I think for your kinetic splitters, top notch. There you go, guys. I want to thank everyone for watching the channel. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do so. While you're in the description, you'll see links to our t-shirt sales, our online store, and our stickers as well. I hope that everyone has a great day.